All right. I want to welcome. We've heard a lot from Stipe Miočić over the last couple of days. He's going to be coming onto the stage with Haley Cohen, but let me just give a brief little introduction. Not that Stipe needs more of an introduction. I'm pretty sure you guys are aware, but if you are here for the first time, he's widely regarded as one of the greatest heavyweights in UFC history, a two-time world champion whose resilience, grit, and knockout power made him a legend in the octagon. But Stipe is just as much a hero outside the cage, and I think this is what we're going to be focusing on for this chat. When he's not training, he serves his Ohio community as a full-time firefighter and paramedic. As a first-generation American with Croatian roots, Stipe's story is one of discipline, humility, and service, proof that greatness can come with both fists and heart. And we're also welcoming Haley Cohen. Haley brings sharp strategy and cultural fluency to the sports marketing space. As a senior director of marketing at Vayner Sports, she leads brand partnerships and athlete campaigns that speak to the modern fan. With experience at the intersection of content, commerce, and community, Haley understands how to build brands that move with culture and not behind it. So without further ado, welcome Stipe and Haley. Welcome, guys. Stevie, you're not tired? How much have you been talking this week?
A lot. I'm a talker as it is anyway, so it's okay.
Nice. Awesome. Well, Haley, welcome. I think it's the question Adam asked, actually, it's a sensational segue to the conversation we're going to have, because we're living in a world where after a pro career in sports, maintaining that relevance is more difficult than it's ever been, really. You're competing on so many fronts with so many other people. So, Stipe, how has that been for you to kind of keep the limelight on yourself? Maybe it's not much as it was in the octagon, but talk about what life has been after you retired.
Well, first, you missed one. I'm a fighter, MMA fighter, firefighter. Also, now I am a content creator.
There you go.
Forget that.
There you go.
No big deal. No big deal. I'm not as big as those other guys. I'm trying. No, I'm not really worried about relevancy. She does. She wants me, and I understand why, and I do what I have to do to, for my content and stuff like that. And I want people to know who I really am, and not so much I'm just a fighter, and I have a stone cold face, and I don't have a personality. I want people to understand that, like, I'm a funny guy. I like to have fun. I tell jokes, and I think people are starting to catch wind more as the years came on, especially joining with Vayner, and especially Haley. Haley's been such a awesome person in helping me, and she's like, I was thinking this, and then I would come with her. I'm thinking this, and we just collaborate and we make it work.
Nice, epic. Haley, do you want to comment a little bit about the work that you guys are doing at Vayner with your athletes and also with Stipe?
Yeah, I think that the importance of personal branding now, it's relative to everything that happens off the field, off the court, out of the octagon, is humanizing athletes and kind of bringing out the personal side of, they're obviously these great athletes, they're superhuman, they do all these amazing things.
You said it, can't take it
But
back.
they're also human beings, and pulling out things that are relative to the everyday person so that they can connect with fans on a different level is very important, especially with how social media is moving nowadays. And we've seen that religiously over the past couple of years, and we're trying to stay on top of all of the trends and keep things growing from that perspective.
How important do you think, Haley, it is for pro athletes to have that content creator side to them? Not only the retired ones, but the ones that are active as well.
I personally think it's very important, but it all starts with the athletes. The athletes have to want it, because if they don't want it and they don't want to do it or they don't understand it, then you're never going to get to the level at which you want to be, and it's going to look forced, it's going to look fake, and it's not going to be real.
Let me jump in on that one real quick. So before I went to Vayner, I had management for the last 2 managements, and they were terrible. I would get a company to work with me, and then they'd be like, I want to do this, this, and this, and I no, I don't want to do it. But I would do it because that's what they wanted. It was a contract, but it was
What type of things, for example?
just like video content, like showing the product, like I use it, which I do. Like every product that I've been associated with, I use. I don't do random ones. I just, oh yeah, thanks for the money. No, I use it. And but when I came to Vayner, I was talking to Haley. I'm like, Haley, let me just do the videos myself. I can make them funny. It'll be fun. People will like it. And she's like, heck yeah. So now when she talks to the company, she's like, they're like, well, we want this. She's like, he'll handle it. Just trust us. And ever since then, it's been easy. It's been fun. I used to hate media because I just don't like being in front of the camera. I don't like spotlight on me that much. Even though I know I fight and I get it. But like I understand it and I opened up more to it and I do enjoy it now.
Yeah, I mean, when you're watching maybe fighters, you live in the United States, you're probably very well tapped into the sports world in the United States. How much of a balance does there need to be for athletes? Sure, your superstars can kind of be that superstar and they're going to have influence anyway. But maybe middle of the pack athletes, how important do you think staying in the social media spheres is important for them?
I think it's huge. I think for myself, even seeing these guys, I like to know what they're doing too. Like, what is he training? You want to know, because back in the day, you never knew what they're doing. They come in, you're like, I wonder how this guy was trained. But like some of these guys, they do the training videos, you see what they do, and you're like, wow, that's pretty sweet. I'm gonna try it out, and then I do it. I'm like, I don't ever want to do that again because that was terrible. And so, but I think social media is huge, and it just, even if those, like you said, mid-tier guys, I guess, you gotta find a niche, what people like, and and I think a lot of people, including myself, is just, you just want to see authentic stuff. I think authentic is huge. You're not, fake stuff. Some of it's funny, yes, I get it, but I think more authentic. People want to see the real you, and I think that's huge.
Haley, what do you think has been the key? I mean, you're nodding your head at authentic, and clearly that's an avenue that you guys have explored.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably the most used word in my vocabulary in terms of this topic because, like, authenticity is key. That's, like, the slogan that we run by. Because if you're putting out stuff that's fake, or if you're putting out stuff that the athletes or content creators don't want to do, it's very well known. You can see the difference in the type of content we create.
I take this stuff, it's so good.
Yeah, like it's forced, then it doesn't perform well, and then the brand's unhappy, or the engagement's low, and the athlete's unhappy. It's like, why didn't this work? Well, because it was forced. You never want it to feel forced. I think the thing that we've learned about social media is you have to be raw, organic, and authentic. And that's how we try to relate that back to what we're trying to create.
Haley, what other athletes do you guys manage at Vayner?
A lot. We work with professional athletes, college athletes. We work NFL, NBA, MLB, UFC. We have some surfing. We just signed a pickleball player. We work with a wide range of athletes, which I also think is really...
And esports, too.
Esports, yeah. Esports is a big one.
You work for Vayner, or she works for Vayner?
No, I just know that because I'm jealous of some of these guys.
I think it's really interesting, though, being in the world that we're in. There's a lot that we learn from the different types of athletes and different types of sports, also at different levels in their career. So some things I learn, or our team learns from athletes that are in college, we can attribute to content that we're making for Stipe, or a guy who's 4 years, 5 years in the NFL, and seeing what works for people, what doesn't work for people, and being able to attribute trends and algorithms at different levels on different platforms.
Where have you gotten a little bit of pushback, maybe from athletes, maybe from clubs or stuff like that? It feels like there's a delicate line when it comes to athletes that are in the game at the moment.
I think it's all about comfortability and how you're explaining social media and the importance of what we're trying to build for the athletes off of the court or off the field or whatever it may be. And it's a lack of understanding. And when an athlete's not comfortable, or they don't understand why they need to do something, or if that's just not their personality, like how do we shift around that to make it work? But also how do we teach them so that they understand what we're trying to do and we're not just really telling them what to do. It's more of a conversation than it is like a force. Like we don't want to ever take over and say, hey, you have to do this. It's more of like, hey, we think you should do this. Here's why. Now give us your feedback. And I think a lot of it goes back also to like the content and the captions, everything. Like we've been I've been working with Stipe now for, was it like 4 years? And
Too long.
to this day, I still send every caption, every screenshot of every post, like everything gets approved and thumbs up by the athletes before things go live because we always want their eyes on it before anything gets posted.
And like I think her going with that, I think just the comfortability with your management. We work Vayner and us. I work with Vayner, whatever you want to say, but they don't treat me like a client. They treat me like a friend. They don't like, you have to do this. You're like, hey, what can we do here to make this work? How can we, like, you tell me what you're thinking. They don't sit there and tell me what I have to do. They explain it, and then they always figure out a way to get around it to make it work and make you feel comfortable doing it. I'm pretty much an open book. I'll do whatever. I'll go streaking through the quad, whatever you want me to do, I'm down. But some guys don't, and I think it's just like it's being comfortable with your management team and the person. I work with Haley a lot and Lloyd. And, I think it's a huge part too. It's more friendship than anything. It's family.
Yeah. On that note, what do you recommend for athletes that are maybe at the tail end of their career to kind of jump on this train?
You make sure you're good with your management, and if not, you could always change because you're retired. You pretty much can do what you want now. I think that So when I left my last management, I went through 3 different management, convos. Met them and all that, and I met Gary Vaynerchuk, and AJ, who are head of Vayner Sports. Sat down with the Zoom, and years prior, a friend of mine told me to jump on the bandwagon with them before they were huge. I was like, yeah, but I'm very loyal. I didn't want to, leave my management, which hindsight I should have left, but whatever. So I sat down on the Zoom call, and he was absolutely just talking to me, just having a normal conversation, nothing like, oh yeah, I did this, I did this. He was talking about, man, I think you'd be great doing this. I think your social media could blow up. He just made you feel good. You feel good about like what you were gonna do. I'm like, I love this guy. I'm going with Vayner. I knew it.
Nice. What was the growth of your social media like? Do you have an idea, numbers perspective, like when you started really getting into it and where you're at now?
Well, when I fought for the title, it helped a lot because I didn't have to do much. People saw me on TV, like, hey, look at that big-headed guy. I'm going to follow him. So, I think probably like 6-7 years ago it really took off. I'm thinking about Instagram at 1.8 million.
Yeah.
1.8. I'm trying to get that 2 million mark. So I'm averaging about 100,000 now a year. So it's going to get more, which I'm excited about. My goal is 2 million, and then of course beyond that it's better. We started doing YouTube more. I like the YouTube a lot. I have an OnlyFans, but it's just more of behind the scenes of me working out.
Yeah, you could probably make more money there than anything.
We're going to be started. Honestly, OnlyFans is a great company. They're very, very, very like organized, very professional. They, it just sucks because that's what they get because the girls. But it is what it is. But that's why they're trying to get away from that, and that's why they're doing more athletes and more just influencers. And but I love it. I love doing it because I can show people more about me behind the scenes, like what I do and stuff like that. And I think the conversation was about a retired guy. So I think is that the conversation?
Yeah.
I totally went off ran it. Sorry. I think just being comfortable with the team and just understanding and see what their view is and go from there.
Haley, do you think the younger athletes are understanding it more? I feel like the generation where social media really boomed is starting to retire or have already retired. Do you get any pushback maybe from younger athletes, or are they totally understanding it?
Yes, because I think that the younger athletes use social media for different reasons and don't understand the importance of personal branding on social media yet. So like they'll use it for fun. Like they all have TikTok, Snap, Instagram, like X, but they don't use it in a way that's building a business and trying to relate to fans. They use it with their friends. So I think that the struggle is just getting them to see a different side of it. But I think that we don't really get pushback. It's more just explaining and understanding from their perspective.
What challenges do you have in this world?
I think it's more of the types of conversations and how you're able to articulate the end goal to different levels of athletes and different types of people. Like the conversations that I have with Stipe look very different than the conversations that I have with the high school basketball player that's heading to college for the first time in the fall. And how we talk about social media and opportunities that come from that. So I think that's just the biggest struggle, but it all stems from communication. And it's a skill that you can pick up. And being in this industry for 5.5 years now, I've kind of learned that. And doing a lot of research on my own, too, and being able to attribute that.
It's interesting to me because a lot of this younger generation, I mean, they grew up with putting their own face on the phone. Maybe they're not shy. Is that what you're seeing? Or do you still often get an athlete that says, no, I'd rather be a little bit more dialed down with the stuff that we're doing?
All the time. Because they also only, like, they don't want to let social media take away from what they're doing on, like, in their sport. And I think that they see it as, I guess, a distraction in a way.
Right.
But that's what our team kind of helps with, taking it away from the distraction. And
Right.
it's like, hey, we're going to take that heavy lifting off your plate. We just need you for an hour to capture X amount of content, or send us things that you like. So when we get content from the team or the school that you're with, we can put that into a trend, or we can make content for you to post that is what you like to see. But yeah.
So Stipe, I mean, on that note, you see these young athletes, maybe fighters. I'll give a story from the soccer perspective. I'm a little bit of a traditionalist. I probably act a little bit older than I am. So I see the Spanish national team manager, Luis Enrique, at the time, at the 2022 World Cup, after every game, he was streaming on Twitch, and they got bounced in round of 16? They lost to Morocco, and it was, to me, it's like, I'm looking at that, and I'm saying, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's almost like a cool window. Imagine if all the managers are streaming it and talking to the fans that are back in Spain or wherever they are. Wow, I'm getting to talk to the coach, Fate, and he's so candid. I don't know if you guys have ever seen him speak, but he's so honest.
I think it's smart. It's like a press conference almost after the game. That's what that's awesome. I think that's great. You know, I would do twitching I twitched for a while, and then I had my child, and I really couldn't do much more of that. But I'm gonna get back at it again. But I think that's actually smart. I think because people want to know, people want to hear, like, well, what about the game? What was wrong with the game? And then he could explain everything he felt, that he thought that went wrong, what went right, and I think that's what people want to know. Because like you can read in the paper, and I always tell people to read half of what you see in the paper, believe half of it, because half of it's not true. Half of it is, half of it. That's the way I look at it. But I think it's smart what that guy did. I mean, maybe it wasn't a good thing, but I understand why he's doing it, because he's just trying to probably get out there and tell people what's going on. That's what people want to see,
Right.
being authentic. He's like, yeah, we sucked.
Yeah.
I'll also add, I think that there's a time and place for everything. As important as social media is and personal branding, like, the sport comes first, because that's really where, like, everything comes from. The ability to be as viral as you are on social media, or the star that you are, or the influence that you are, comes from what you're doing in your sport. So we always primarily try to focus on that, and then kind of everything else is secondary. So there are times where, like, I know something's going on with an athlete, they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to do something, but they have a post that needs to go up. And it's like, okay, how do we shift this? How do we change the schedule? How do we make this so that it's authentic in real time? So it's not going live during a game or during an event,
Right.
or when they're not paying attention, or they have something else going on that's more important than a social media post going live.
And going on Vayner Sports, the good thing about them too is, like, how she said she take it off your plate. Like, they step in, like, no, they're not doing that. No, you mean, like, if we're going through something, or we're just, I'm tired, exhausted, or whatever's going on, and they know it. And, like, I'm very hard to say no. Like, I don't say no much, but she'll
Never.
see, but she'll see in my face. I'm like, no, I'm fine. She's like, no, you're done. We're done, and then we're done. I'm like, oh, okay, no. They do my dirty work. The work I don't want to do, they do it. They're the bad guy, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but we do. I'm human. I get tired, and I have things going on in my life, and a few times that Haley stepped in like a boss and hammered them.
Do you often get younger athletes that are over eager to do stuff on social media?
Sometimes.
How do you deal with that?
I mean, it's amazing. Like, I love when they're excited about it. And I think that the way to deal with it is kind of guide them in the right direction for how we want to build the brand versus take away their voice of reason and their want to actually do social media. So, like, I encourage them to send content, send what they're making, what they want to caption. Let's collaborate. Like, we always kind of say, like, you're the CEO of your business. You're the CEO of your brand. So, like, we're here to support you through that. But, like, we see it through a business angle, whereas you see it as yourself. So how do we build that together and create something that can grow to the extent that we all know it can?
Business, huh? Business, you said? I'm like this. I'm like the secretary. My wife's the president. She's the vice president.
That's true. That's
See?
true.
Thank you.
Nice. We're just about wrapping up, but we can open the floor to some questions if anybody wants to ask.
So we have in the front row here.
Thank you, Stipe and Haley. I'm interested, of course, I very much respect personal branding because I know how important it is in today's world. I think that every celebrity, of course, now we are talking about athletes, but every celebrity is in a way obligated and privileged in the same time to use their platforms and, of course, social media and numbers they are following them, not only for commercial success, but also for social impact, philanthropic activities, and all that comes with that. So it is my question to Stipe. Stipe, have you ever been thinking about forming a foundation or any kind of charity activities yourself? And then Haley, what is your view on this question from a broader, more athlete point of view?
Yeah, with a foundation, it's, I don't have the time to start my own foundation and, do everything because I pretty much wouldn't run it. It would be Haley and my wife, so I don't put that on their plate. But but I do give back a lot. I work with foundations like the Fallen Firefighter Foundation. There's a ton of foundations. Or back home in Cleveland, someone asked me to do something, and I'll do it if it's a fundraiser for something. I'll sign something for them. Whatever I can do to help out, I'm always doing something of that sort. And I don't always post about it because I don't need people to know like, oh, you do this to get to get followers. I don't care. So. But I mean, there's a lot of things I do, people don't know about that I do like fundraising for and help with foundations as much as I can. I love to give back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's very important. And I think that back to what I said earlier, there's a time and place for everything. As long as you're focusing on the charitable initiatives, I think that a lot of the younger athletes don't really know exactly which way they want to take that yet. So being able to give back to different foundations and organizations to see what really resonates with them is a building block. And then working with like older athletes or more well into their career that have their own foundations that solidify their voice and message in terms of just being able to grow those foundations is obviously always very important as well.
We have a question here in the front row, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Hi. Hello. Haley, I wanted to ask a question to you. How different is it to work with female athletes and male athletes? Because obviously female athletes tend to earn quite a bit less than male athletes in the same field. So is there a push or an ask of female athletes to have sort of more branding or do more social media work from a monetary perspective?
I wouldn't say it's more. I would just say it's different. I think that, being a woman in the industry, I can obviously resonate with the type of content that they're wanting to make or that we know will hit and stick. But it's definitely not more. I think that the conversation still sits the same. Each athlete that I have a conversation with is completely different. They all like to communicate very differently. So that doesn't change male or female. I think it's just the strategy around branding, specifically in the sport, in season, whatever it may be from the women's side of things, and the female athletes. It looks different, of course, because they're female athletes, but I don't think that it's I don't think of it any differently in terms of branding a male athlete or a female athlete from that perspective.
Let's say one thing real quick. So real quick, talking about having like a platform and what you want to do. And so when I got retired, I mentioned this earlier and I forgot, but as we retired, Haley pretty much said, listen, man, we got to do some content now. You got to be like, more vocal on social media. I said, yeah. And so I had to fill out this form, tell them everything I like about, what kind of jeans I like, what kind of clothes I like, just in general, so they get, just to do it against they know. And they literally had a PDF of like 6 pages of like what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it, and this, so I could tell them what I like, what I didn't like a podcast, Stipe tries this, this, and this. And it was awesome. It was so comforting, and just, I don't like this, and like, well, how can we make it to where you're gonna like it? And then I bought my little content creator camera. It's pretty sweet, no big deal. And I was actually very happy about that. And so it's been fun. And like I said, it's been very easy now. So doing more content once because I have a nicer camera, but also just being told what to do in a good way, just having what I'm going to do. And now I feel more comfortable doing it. Sorry, I want to throw that out there.
Yeah, so Matt has a question in the front row. He's waiting patiently.
Thank you.
This is my first time in Croatia, first time at Sunset as well. I think you said yesterday this is the first time you brought your family,
Yep.
kids, and everything. So I'm sure there's an awful lot of people in the room who would like to know how they've enjoyed it, how you've enjoyed it, and what your experience of Sunset has been in the last couple of days, apart from talking quite a lot.
Yeah, Sunset's awesome. You can't really beat it. It's a really great event. It's precise, everything they do. It's great. It's over the top, and that's what you want, and it's not too big. Of course, you want to make it bigger, but it's honestly, it's everything they've done has been top notch, fun, and my kids don't want to go home. I've been on that slide probably 35,000 times, and my legs are sore right now. But my family's loved it. My wife, she doesn't want to leave either, and honestly. It's been like the expectations. I didn't know what I knew it was going to be great, but I didn't know how great it was going to be. This is probably one of the best trips I've ever been on in my entire life. He owes me money for that one.
We have one more question here. Yeah, go ahead. Don't be shy. You ready? You want my mic? Is it not working? Here, take my mic.
Thanks. So firstly, I just wanted to say cheers to Stipe. I wanted to share with you how proud we are in Croatia for representing your Croatian heritage on the global stage so proudly. But I actually wanted to ask a question, to direct a question to Haley. I read recently an article saying that some football players don't even check their social media accounts because of the hate speech they receive. One example that comes to mind first is a player, Anthony, from Manchester United, who has faced a lot of adversity on social media. So my question to you is, how do you deal with those kind of problems that really affect everyday lives of athletes? Thanks you.
It's a really good question. I think it comes down to trying to be able to block it out and also having someone who can support in terms of going in and kind of blocking that out for you. Obviously, you're not ever going to cancel all of the hate comments that you get. You can't control what other people say on social media, but it's religiously having those conversations with the athletes to remind them, like, not everyone's going to agree with everything that you say. I think we've had that conversation multiple times.
I'm terrible at that because I find them and then I start messaging them myself. And I've actually, a couple times I've actually became friends with the guys. They're like my best friend now. Like, it's great. Like, and then it's actually funny because they say something and they'll message me and I'll like, blah, 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 we'll go back and forth. And they're like, you're a nice guy. I'm like, yeah, come on, dude. And then, and of course, like, you can say whatever you want about me. I do not care. But the minute you speak one word of my family, I'm going to find you and I'm going to hunt you down. And so I have one man in Vancouver. So we'll see if we see him. We meet him one day. His name was Ethan.
So I think we arrived at the natural conclusion of this panel. A big round of applause for Niko Kantor, Stipe Miočić, and Haley Cohen.